Hi, I'm Matt. Is it Nazis? Is it aliens? New World Order, a clandestine reptilian humanoid race, Area 51.
The Chemtrails Conspiracy.
I don't think I have a cowboy. Making sense, right?
I mean, I gotta trust them.
There's no way to explain it. Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm wondering, is there a secret global government with apocalyptic bunkers underneath our very feet? Maybe. Since I was a child, I've been naturally inquisitive, questioning anything and everything that didn't quite make sense. As I grew, I poured countless hours into a number of conspiracy theories. Some of these theories I believe and some of these theories I don't, but some of them I do. Here I'll be studying the evidence for and against all of history's mysteries, doing the work so you don't have to, but you really should do it on your own, like check sources and all that. Okay. On today's episode, the New World Order. New. Gosh, that's awful. World Order. Oh yeah, it's board time. New World Order. Before I even get into this one, I'll admit it, it's a weird one. And while I'm a little iffy on this one, I think there's some really compelling stuff here. So I'll let you decide. Basically, and this is kind of a catch-all, the New World Order is a number of different conspiracy theories that all, at least in their own ways, suggest that there is one big, secret, totalitarian worldwide government. Allegedly operating in secret, they are quietly pulling the strings, awaiting their emergence into the public eye. At which point, of course, it will be too late. Some people think it's related to the Illuminati, some people think it's the Freemasons, and some think, and you're gonna find this one in most conspiracy theories and Steven Spielberg movies, aliens. It's also worth noting that some of these theories are based in anti-Semitism. That is very harmful, and I just want everyone to be aware. But whoever it may be, if it may be, there is some compelling information to support the idea, all the way back in the yellowed pages of the annals of history. Since people have been around, there's always been that one group who wanted to kind of stake claim to like everything, you know, and colonizers, if you will. In the 300s, Alexander the Great strove to complete his assassinated father's goal of conquering the world, starting with taking down the Persian Empire. In the 13th and 14th century, the Mongol Empire amassed 9 million square miles of territory, making it the largest adjoining land empire in the history of the world. And in the 20th century, Hitler. So basically, if there are people around, there's someone who wants to be in control. But what we're talking about isn't as obvious as those guys. The New World Order that many conspiracy theories claim exists today would have to be a lot more low-key. Well, kind of. The greatest evidence for the existence of the New World Order in modern day all comes down to one of the weirdest places I've ever been, the Denver airport. Oh, it's board time. Denver airport. 2 underlines in one day. Aren't we lucky? The second biggest airport in the world, Denver was opened in 1995, way behind schedule and way over budget. The final cost was some $2 billion over the original estimated cost, which, like, I don't know about you, but to me, that's a noticeable chunk of change. Way over budget. Dollar. Bills, y'all. And for being nearly twice the size of the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, the next largest in the US, in 2018, Denver was only the 20th busiest airport in the world. It's over twice the size of the island of Manhattan. So if you're not the busiest airport even in this country, what are you doing with all that space, Denver? Well, one of the airport construction workers alleged that the reason for the airport being so far behind schedule in the first place was because 5 multi-story buildings were built underneath, as well as a vast network of tunnels. 5-story buildings. Why would that be under the airport? Some people theorize that these could be anything from underground New World Order command bunkers to fallout shelters for the global elite, such as billionaires and politicians, to a FEMA concentration camp waiting to be utilized underneath the Denver airport in the future. There have been some explanations for the delays and extra costs to construction, such as an automated but ineffective bag system that they attempted to construct. But okay, weird stuff, right? But nothing suggests that a New World Order specifically, right? Wrong. The airport was dedicated on March 19th, 1994 with a capstone inside the airport, which is still on display. Capstone. The stone displays the Masonic symbol and credits the New World Order Airport Commission with helping fund and build the airport. What? On top of that, level 5 of the Jepson terminal contains some really bizarre murals. Murals which some believe may tell the story of apocalyptic events destroying the world, with the New World Order taking over in its place. Have you seen these? You heard about these? These murals. One contains what appears to be a heavily armed Nazi soldier and a letter from a 14-year-old boy who died in Auschwitz. Speaking of art, people arriving to the Denver airport by car will be greeted by a 32-foot tall horse sculpture nicknamed Lucifer. Before the statue was completed, a piece of it fell off, hitting the sculptor against a steel support beam in an accident that would prove fatal. Many believe it's a symbol of death and destruction and suggests the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. Blue horse. Throw it on the board. Oh yeah, and did we talk about the swastika? This is gonna blow your freaking marble. Compared to some of the other busiest airports in the country like Atlanta, Chicago, O'Hare, and LAX, a lot of people think that Denver's resembles a swastika. Let's just do a little test here. This is Hartsfield in Atlanta. This is LAX, and then this is Denver. I don't know. Hinky, if you ask me. Odd shape. Though an airport representative has said that the runways are designed that way so that they can be used simultaneously no matter what the weather conditions. Components of the New World Order conspiracy theory also maintain just how strange it was when in 2011 a doomsday comet Elenin was scheduled to possibly enter the Earth's atmosphere, triggering a cataclysmic event. President Barack Obama was where? Denver, Colorado. But why though? The greatest argument against any of this meaning anything or mattering at all is the question of why. If the New World Order did exist, would they make all this obvious weirdo stuff plain as day for everyone to see? Some people argue that it's just some Colorado politicians having fun, maybe even drumming up tourism. Get back some of that $2 billion, you know? The Fly Denver website also has some goofs with the theory, with images of reptile people on cell phones, suggesting the airport contains the Illuminati headquarters. Ultimately, the New World Order conspiracy kinda just doesn't work because there's no clear idea as to who the New World Order would even be. Is it Nazis? Is it aliens? Is it Beyonce and Jay-Z? It's kind of like how flat earthers agree that the earth is flat, but don't really agree on much else. I'm not a flat earther. For the last time. While a bit of a head scratcher, at the end of the day, it all does seem pretty absurd. Like, you mean to tell me if you got a bunch of stuff you want to keep secret, you're gonna put this thing anywhere near it? I don't think so. Some theories posit that the Denver airport time capsule that will be opened in 2094 may reveal all the answers to these questions. So maybe we'll have to wait until then. But until 2094, just like move on, focus on other stuff, because this is dumb. Hi, I'm Matt. And lately, I've been wondering, is there a secret race of reptile people controlling our governments and enslaving humanity? We'll see. Since I was a child, I've been naturally inquisitive, questioning anything and everything that didn't quite make sense. As I grew, I poured countless hours into a number of conspiracy theories. Some of these theories I believe and some of these theories I don't, but some of them I do. Here I'll be studying the evidence for and against all of history's mysteries, doing the work so you don't have to. But you really should do it on your own, like check sources and all that. Okay. On today's episode, Reptilian Conspiracy. If you've been paying attention, you might have heard more and more references to a clandestine reptilian humanoid race. Sound familiar? It's shown up in pop culture with increasing regularity. You've heard it on podcasts, in politics. The theory has even infiltrated the hit romance reality show, Love Island. Just what are all these people talking about? Let's get into it. Okay, so as with nearly any conspiracy theory, there are usually variations in belief, but for the most part, the theory posits that there is a race of reptilians, or lizard people, if you will, and you should, that work in secret to dominate and rule over humans like you and me. Now, while the suggested origin of these lizard people varies from theorist to theorist, some say that they're from Earth, some say that they're from space, some say that they started on Earth, went to space, and came back. The one thing that most folks agree on is that these motherfuckers are evil. So how do these lizard folk go from ruling in secret to getting brought up in Love Island casual contestant conversation? Well, the reptoids can thank former soccer player, sports reporter, and hot take haver David Icke for absolutely and utterly blowing up their spot. It's also worth noting now that David Icke's ideas are kind of problematic and borderline prejudiced, but we'll get to that later. In 1998, David Icke released a book called The Biggest Secret, where two people he interviewed claimed that the British royal family were not in fact humans, but lizard people. Icke also claims that George W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, Bill, and Hillary Clinton, and Bob Hope are lizard people as well. Icke says that the reptoids are responsible for the JFK assassination, Princess Diana's death, and even 9/11. According to Icke, the Anunnaki, an ancient species of prehistoric alien demigods, came from the Orion, Sirius, and Draco constellations, created humans, and then created a reptilian-human hybrid. Making sense, right? Additionally, Icke suggests that lizard people drink human blood, which allows them to shapeshift into human form. allowing them to, I guess, then become a vaudeville legend and have an airport named after them. Ick has written that presidents and prime ministers have either been lizard people themselves or have been possessed or controlled by lizard people, and that they have had control over powerful offices since ancient times, like when Shrek 1 came out. Pretty heavy stuff, right? So what is there that even supports these wild-ass claims? Well, a little bit. Kind of. Maybe. Now, while I'm not all in on the reptilian theory just yet, I will say that it's not untrue that some very powerful people objectively look like lizards. And if you watch enough footage of politicians and high-level CEOs, you will find at least a few frames of them doing odd things. Now, maybe that's because to achieve a high level of success, you kind of just have to throw out being an altogether normal person. Or maybe they're lizard people. What's most interesting is that, and this is a fact, is that a lot of US presidents and very powerful people are related. Very distantly, but related. For example, President Barack Obama is a distant cousin of the Bushes, Gerald Ford, Lyndon B. Johnson, Harry Truman, and James Madison, as well as Winston Churchill. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was related, again very distantly, to 11 other US presidents, including Madison, both Adams, Van Buren, Harrison, Taylor, Grant, the other Harrison, Taft, and of course, the other Roosevelt. I mean, his own wife, Eleanor, was his 5th cousin. Hell, according to genealogy experts at Genie.com, you go back far enough, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are related, 19th cousins. So is that evidence of ancient reptilian bloodlines secretly infiltrating and controlling our government? Or is it just kinda, how ancestry works? I don't know. Either way, you're gonna wanna know how to spot a reptoid. And that brings us to board time. Yeah. So let's start with the easy shit, okay? Obvi dead giveaways that you're talking to a lizard. We got the forked tongue, blue or green scales instead of skin. They lay eggs. But those are easy. According to one source at Alien Hub, there are more subtle signs that someone is a lizard person or have been possessed by one. Reddish hair. I didn't say it, they did. Keen eyesight or hearing. If I had keen eyesight, I would be wearing glasses to throw people off. Low blood pressure. Everything's chill, dude. ESP, UFO connections. A love of space or science. Space. A predominance of green or hazel eyes that can change color. A sense of not belonging to the human race. Oh, I don't belong to the human race. A deep compassion for the fate of mankind. Boop, boop. Unexplained scars on the body. An affinity for those chalky Valentine's Day hearts. That's not actually on the list, but who likes those? But even without that, many powerful people exhibit many of these signs, but does that make them lizard people? Okay, so here's a conspiracy theory pro tip, and this goes for nearly any conspiracy theory. If you present evidence in the right order and don't present evidence against, you can make a compelling case. So now let's talk about the problem. Back to David Icke, the leading reptilian conspiracy theorist. He was a famous soccer player in the UK who had to retire after developing arthritis at age 21. He became political and joined the Green Party as a spokesman in the 1980s. He resigned from the Green Party in the early 1990s, which later banned him, and he toured the country telling people he was the son of the Godhead, and was generally laughed out of good favor in the UK. His theories have often been labeled as anti-Semitic. While some of the people on the list aren't Jewish, Icke has stated that the Rothschilds, a prominent and influential Jewish family, are actually blood-sucking reptilians. It claims that he's not criticizing real Jews, just many lizard people posing as Jews. These are his words, not mine. He's also been labeled a Holocaust denier, positing both that Jews may have funded the Holocaust or that it didn't happen at all. In addition to that mess, there also might be a scientific reason why we might just not like snakes to begin with, making us very susceptible to a fear of a reptile-human hybrid. In 2013, scientists discovered that we have certain neurons in our brains that only respond to snakes. According to their research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, these neurons were very important to our early ancestors who had to be wary of snakes when they were a major threat to survival. In a small study in 2014, EEG meters were used to track subjects' brain activity when shown photos of snakes. The study showed what we already know. People, for the most part, don't like snakes. Could this be evidence of a possible counter theory that we're predisposed to be scared of reptiles and therefore more likely to be paranoid about lizard people? I think so. So are we under the rule of a bloodline of reptilian aliens intent on sucking our human blood and shape-shifting their way into our hearts and minds? Or is this just, and excuse my language, a bunch of horse apples? We may never know for sure, but watching what our politicians do with our tax dollars isn't the worst idea. And maybe when you're watching that, you can keep an eye out for lizard tongues. Or anything else on this list.
Matt, you have a lot of those traits.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I believe there are aliens in Area 51.
Since I was a child, I've been naturally inquisitive, questioning anything and everything that didn't quite make sense.
As I grew, I poured countless hours into a number of conspiracy theories. Some of these theories I believe, and some of these theories I don't. But some of them I do. Here I'll be studying the evidence for and against all of history's mysteries, doing the work so you don't have to. But you really should do it on your own, like check sources and all that. Okay, on today's episode, Area 51. If you've been on the internet in the last 2 weeks, then you're probably familiar with the plan to storm Area 51. The Facebook event, which as of July 17th has 1.5 million people going and over 1 million more interested, is a kind of a joke, kind of not really, who knows plan to, quote, meet up at the Area 51 Alien Center tourist attraction and coordinate entry, close quote, in order to, quote, see them aliens. Close quote. But before we get any further into the plan, let's talk about what exactly Area 51 is and what people might think is inside. I'm also told to tell you that these are my opinions and my opinions alone, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions or thoughts of BuzzFeed.com. For starters, Area 51 is a top secret facility located in the Mojave Desert that, to put it quite frankly, gets into some weird stuff. Though very little is known for sure about Area 51, its proximity to the Nevada test site and Groom Lake salt flats make it a prime spot to develop and test experimental aircraft. And you know, new aircraft's been coming out for like years, and I can't say where else they're coming from. But is that all they got going on there? A lot of people, and sure I might find myself among them, believe that there might be aliens there. And we can kind of thank the Roswell incidents and sightings of 1947 for spurring on those suspicions. It's board time. Oh yeah, a blank slate just for me. So, let's start in 1947. Let's make this the beginning of time. Roswell incident. This is not sharp enough. In June of 1947, American pilot Kenneth Arnold was flying around Mount Rainier, and he claims he saw 9 unidentified flying objects in the sky. He said that they moved in unison incredibly quickly, like that. Did you catch it? He does a bunch of interviews, and people kind of think he's nuts, despite more and more of these sightings happening in the following weeks. He's gone. Then, also in June, a rancher, let me see if I have I don't think I have a cowboy. There we go. A rancher named W.W. Mac Brazel was doing, a bunch of rancher stuff, and then he comes across a bunch of debris in a field. Then in July, he reports it to the US government. The debris was said to be made up of rubber strips, tinfoil, and like a heavy paper material, as represented by this lay flower. It gets turned over to the military, who make a statement that they've found what they believe to be a flying saucer, and then almost immediately they tell the public it was nothing more than a weather balloon. According to an article in the Roswell Dispatch titled, "Harassed Rancher Who Located Saucer, Sorry He Told About It," W.W. Mac Brazel says the thing he found didn't look like any weather balloon to him. And then the story kind of just dies, until 1980. 1980, when authors Charles Berlitz and William L. Moore release a book called The Roswell Incidents, which claims that the original flying saucer was taken to an Air Force base in Ohio, and that the weather balloon debris was quickly swapped in. Berlitz and Moore claim to talk to as many as 90 first or second-hand witnesses while researching their book. From reports collected by them and other UFO investigators, witnesses have claimed to have seen flying saucers, some claim to have been to the crash site, and some claim to have even seen alien bodies. Alien bodies which may or may not have been taken to a certain super top secret Air Force facility in Nevada. Who's to say? Right or wrong, in 1994, that says 1994, the military goes, and I'm paraphrasing here, it was debris from a surveillance balloon that we made to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. And then in 1997, the Air Force goes, any bodies that people think they might have seen were probably just test dummies from parachute tests. So to sum that up, you got all these people saying, hey, we saw something, and you got the government going, you guys didn't see anything, and also everything we said about everything was lying. But with all this misinformation, the public starts to greet official reports thoughts with a little bit of skepticism. So in 2013, when the CIA finally acknowledges the existence of Area 51 and says, yeah, we've had it for a while and it's been used to test new military aircraft, you got way too many people going, hey CIA, you sure you don't mean you're testing captured alien aircraft and space weapons? So say that there are alien corpses and captured spacecraft in Area 51. What exactly is the plan for the Storm Area 51 They Can't Stop Us All event? Because honestly, I kind of think they can stop us all. One commenter, Jackson Barnes, says, 2 Naruto runner battalions will run full speed around the north and south flanks, but adds, P.S. Hello US government, this is a joke and I do not actually intend to go ahead with this plan. So great, it's a joke. Or is it? At least one hotel in the Area 51 area has stated that they've been getting calls out the wazoo. They're all booked up on the dates of the scheduled raids, and they have up to 60 people ready to pitch a tent on the property. So yeah, we're laughing, but some people are taking it seriously. People like the good men and women of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service. Air Force spokeswoman Laura McAndrews told the Washington Post, Area 51 is an open training range for the U.S. Air Force, and we would discourage anyone from trying to come into the area where we train American armed forces. If it's me, maybe I don't agree with the event's assertion that if we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. And I'm kind of hoping most people don't either. Let's be for realsies, guys. Do not go to Area 51. Sorry. So maybe in September we don't learn that they got little ET all chained up. And maybe we don't learn that they got a bunch of Stranger Things eating Eggos in there and stuff. What we can know for sure though is that the internet can be a wonderful place where we can come together and share memes about Old Town Road and laugh at Shrek and SpongeBob and Starfish. All while simultaneously stressing out the US government. And maybe that's the truth we need now anyway. Aliens are real and they've been here for hundreds of years, and if you don't think so, you're an idiot. Hello everyone, this week we do a deep dive into the sky. Before we get started, Joyce, what do you think?
I think you need to get off the internet.
Okay, great. By the end of this video, we are going to decide once and for all if the Chemtrails Conspiracy belongs in one of these 3 categories. Debunked, could be, or legit. What do you know about the Chemtrails Conspiracy as of right now?
I only know about the Lana Del Rey song.
Chemtrails Over the Country Club.
Yes, you like that song?
It was in the research. Let's get into it.
The chemtrails conspiracy theory is the belief that the government or other parties are secretly participating in a program which adds toxic chemicals to the atmosphere from airplanes and other aircrafts. The so-called chemtrails are those visible plumes in the sky left by planes. While most believers in the theory agree that something is up, there are different motivations for what exactly. Some of the theories include sterilization, reduction of life expectancy, mind control, or weather control.
I just really feel like mind control, like the rules of the society has already been instilled in us through education. So why would they have to give us mind control if they're already teaching us what's right and what's wrong to live in the society?
You're saying why would they need to put chemicals in the air because they're controlling our minds in so many other ways?
The theory largely started to gain followers back in the mid-1990s after the US Air Force published a paper in 1996 titled Weather as a Force Multiplier.
The paper was largely speculative for the possibilities of the future, but prompted many to become curious about the modern day.
These concerns somewhat came to fruition in 2008 when the Chinese government seeded clouds ahead of the 2008 Olympic ceremony, essentially creating rain in other parts of the country to keep the stadium free of rainfall.
Isn't that wild?
I didn't even know that was possible.
So in 1996, the Air Force says we're looking into this. 2008, it just was done.
An alternate motive for the theory took off after some investigative journalists began describing implied plots by the government about poisoning the population through trails of jet planes. Some, including Suzanne Mayer, the founder of a group called Bye Bye Blue Sky, which was formed to, quote, raise awareness about chemtrails, believe that there is evidence to support the theory due to the formation of such trails being relatively new. She told the BBC, quote, I ask that we move beyond the notion that this is a conspiracy theory. 20 to 30 years ago, we never saw these trails. We had a beautiful blue sky.
So how can you make a plane without some kaboot? You know
I don't know.
How you start a car without a little grun grun grun? You know what I'm saying? Like go boom, boom, boom.
I weirdly do know exactly what you're saying.
Because we've been friends for years.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is to say that like we didn't have these several years ago.
No.
Which I don't think is actually true.
How engines work is that it releases a type of gas for the engine to start and to keep running. So they're asking for an engine that doesn't require any like output. That's ahead of the times.
But depending on how you look at it, some surprisingly real big names have either bought into the theory or opened their eyes to the truth.
In 2014, Jaden Smith cryptically posted a video of a jet flying through the air, releasing the streams of mist you often see in the sky. In 2015, Kylie Jenner tweeted a poorly spelled and punctuated graphic meme questioning the effects of the lines of, quote, white stuff in the sky. Prior to all of this in 2009, Prince made a rare TV appearance with Tavis Smiley on PBS, where he brought up chemtrails, suggesting that after their appearance, everyone started fighting without any logical reason why.
He essentially said everyone's mad at each other all the time, and there's no way to explain it except for the line in the sky. We love Prince.
I mean, I would fight anyone for that man.
Gotta say.
But with all of these prominent believers, or at least dabblers, how does the government answer these claims? Well, in the early aughts, the Air Force posted a disclaimer on their website saying that, quote, the chemtrail hoax has been investigated and refuted by many established and accredited universities, scientific organizations, and major media publications. The EPA also published the same type of message, as well as a fact sheet about contrails, offering a scientific explanation as to what those white lines actually are.
I don't trust the government.
That's the hard part of all of this. There is evidence, the Tuskegee syphilis studies, MK Ultra and Project Bluebird and all that. The government has been like, oh yeah, we were doing this.
The government is sus.
But do you think that the government now is doing it?
Yeah, she's still sus. Just because she got a different wig on don't mean she ain't the same hoe.
This is, I mean, look, I can't argue with that.
According to David Keith's research group of Harvard University, quote, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and mainly that extraordinary proof hasn't been offered. The first peer-reviewed study examining the chemtrails theory was conducted out of the Carnegie Institution for Science in 2016. In the study, researchers were asked if they had ever uncovered any possible evidence of a government-run chemtrails operation throughout their study. 76 out of 77 leading atmospheric scientists and geochemists said no.
These are scientists and researchers who are every day saying the government is destroying our atmosphere in so many ways. But then they're going, but not this way.
I mean, I gotta trust them.
That is, to me,
that's like that. I mean, everything we said, I think is still very valid. But
the government's shady.
But I trust the scientists.
You gotta side with my
lab coats, maybe.
With my squad in STEM.
Hey, that was kind of good, Zeddy. I'm proud of you.
So what are those white lines in the sky? To explain this, we've devised a little science experiment.
I love science.
Me too. So the overarching explanation for those white lines in the sky is that they are just trails of condensation, known as contrails.
Oh, okay.
Because the reaction that you're seeing in the sky is a trail of ice crystals formed when the cold air of the atmosphere reacts to the hot air of the exhaust from the plane.
Oh.
Right? So we're gonna try and mimic that here. We have a big beaker here.
Okay.
We're gonna put some hot water into this beaker. This is gonna act as our hot exhaust. And then we're going to put this over that. And then we're gonna add an ice cube or two to the top of this to cool that, which is gonna act as the atmosphere. And then we're gonna see a scientific reaction like you've seen quite often.
I love that for all of us.
So let's go ahead and pour the hot water. It's hot.
It's hot.
You're already seeing the condensation happen. This is hot as hell. And then I'm gonna put my atmosphere on top of that. But you actually don't even need this top part because you're seeing the condensation happen right there. Look at that. We're seeing it. we just made condensation, which is exactly what's happening thousands and thousands of feet in the sky. Now, it's worth pointing out that science might not sway those believers of the conspiracy theory. As a rebuttal by a lot of prominent chemtrail theorists, they say they can tell the difference between the two trails. They say, we know that some of those are contrails, but not all of them.
It's hard for me to after a scientist say it, I'm like, if that's what the baby do all day, I'm gonna let her do her job.
All right, Joyce, we gotta put this somewhere on the board.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. Pop it up there somewhere.
I think that anything is possible through our government.
Okay, so it's up there. It's mostly debunked, but it's in the could be just slightly.
Just like 5%.
Because
the government can do whatever it wants.
The government can do whatever it wants, and just because you put a different wig on, it's still the same person.
The same hoe.
Well, different language, but. Thank you so much, Joyce, for joining me, and I can't wait to talk about more of these.
Yeah.
Fill that board right on up.